Like recently, I've been listening to a lot of Dixie Chicks while I work out.
I love the Dixie Chicks. Do you like country music?
Yeah, I was born like we were raised on it.
Oh wait,
I have like country background.
where are you from again?
I'm from Ohio, but like my family is like deep into horses and like they all live in the South.
North Dakota, so
Okay.
I'm like big time country.
Yeah, I love country.
Yeah.
My sister
I lived
like
in the
into
South for like 4 years. So
Yeah, that note. 3, 2, 1.
That was way too fast.
I know.
Welcome back to the Decent Human Podcast. I'm Evan.
I'm Jenny.
Chris.
And today we have a very special guest with us, Collin McMannis from LLovesick, founder, creator. Very excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Happy to be here.
This is awesome. And I cut you off. I'm so sorry. I made you do the clap in the middle of like this whole backstory. We're talking about the country and everything.
Apologize.
Yeah. So you said you're from Ohio?
Cleveland.
Ohio.
Actually, specifically. So, like, basically, when people ask you about Ohio, no one knows anything about Ohio.
No.
So you say
Cavaliers.
the Midwest, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then you say Ohio, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of Ohio." And then you say Cleveland because they don't know any cities in Cleveland. But if they know Cleveland, then you say Akron
Okay.
because then they kind of know the city. And
The
if they know
outskirts.
Akron, then I actually say my county, Medina.
No, lost
So-
me there.
Exactly. So you got to break
Lost
it
me in
down.
Ohio.
Akron, LeBron, that's it. That's all I
Exactly.
know.
I kind of do the same thing with North Dakota, but like
It's
North
similar.
Dakota, and then I go to Fargo.
Because Fargo's the only city I know.
That's the only one anyone knows,
Exactly.
and
I
I
thought that was
live
a
like
show.
it is.
Okay.
But
It's based on Fargo,
It's
Ohio?
actually based on Fargo,
Fargo, North Dakota.
Dakota.
We're in North Dakota now.
I thought we were still talking about Ohio.
Same
I told
thing.
you lost me in Ohio.
Same but different.
I was
Same
born
thing.
in Hawaii, and I just, geography, not my thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. Cool. So, just on that note, what brought you out to LA?
Fashion. I went to Arizona State and started getting into some trouble. Kind of over.
Didn't we all?
No.
Can we just stop there?
Oh.
You fucking with me, right?
Oh, I like these
Immediate-
stories.
yeah.
Can you
We like to
elaborate?
dive
we don't,
in.
We don't have to like.
I will give you the bare minimum.
So, is he confessing
I
right
don't
now?
know.
I'm not confessing. So, if you guys are familiar, have you guys ever been to Scottsdale or Tempe?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Scottsdale.
Okay, yeah. So, like, once you like kind of graduate from college, you kind of move to Scottsdale,
Yeah.
and it's like a whole nother level of partying. Like
Yep.
Tempe has a Mill Avenue, which is a lot of fun, but Scottsdale, it's called. People local call it like the Circle of Death. It's where all the clubs are. They all look at each other. All the clubs are literally like a
Facing
circle.
each
So
other.
like you
Okay.
can see another club, and then you leave one, and you go out to another. But basically, I was working the clubs at night and doing my like normal job during the day, and I was just partying a lot and like getting into the scene. And I had already been in Scottsdale for like 6 years, so it kind of just like drags you out, and then couple of wrists and
I would argue the same.
Couple
it's
of
the
arrests?
same. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Just like
that's all-
fighting or like.
just stupid shit.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
for one, I'll
Typical.
give you a perfect example of how like bullshit. They're not all like this, but this was bad. Walking from one side of the street to the other, 9
Jaywalking.
p.m.
Classic.
Not jaywalking,
Oh.
in the crosswalk. And it's like 9 p.m. We're going to another bar, and my buddy and I, 3 of us are walking, and my big buddy's in the middle of us, and my buddy kind of slaps me on the back of the head. Very harmless. So I
Yeah.
go and slap him on the back of the head. And before he can even slap me on the head, he gets like tackled by 2 police in the middle of the
What?
street. And then I got pushed up against a pole, and then we got arrested for disorderly conduct.
No way.
What?
This is in
He fought it.
Scottsdale?
This is in Tempe. He
Tempe.
fought it for like 9 months, and then like the DA was like, "Hey, you're not getting out of this, so
What?
just take it." I just ate it and moved on.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's honestly how North Dakota is. I have 3 arrests and some decently serious ones.
We got
Yeah.
convicts on here.
Under my
We just got
belt.
so much clout.
But because I think it's because
Street cred, dude.
Yeah.
these places like that have, at least where I'm from, there's not a lot of other crime. I don't know. What
It's college kids fucking
Yeah.
up. That's
so
all it
they
is.
they arrest you for literally everything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. And it's like in Tempe, there's like the students outnumber the police by so much, so they can literally just get you for anything, and
And they'll make stuff up. That happened.
100%.
That happened to Jill. She got arrested for my sister. I have a twin. She was arrested for a loud party that she wasn't even at.
Yeah.
She
I hate
was
talking about
walking in,
arrests, so
yeah.
can we move on?
Sorry.
Mom, just want to let you know I have never been arrested. Just
Me
want
neither. Yeah.
just,
So we'll see. keep it moving.
Angels over
We'll
here.
keep it moving.
Yeah.
The good boy club.
Yeah, fuck.
So
I wouldn't say that, but
moved out to LA
Yeah.
for
So
fashion
yeah.
and
Sorry.
everything.
Back up. Just kind of got drained out there, and I always kind of knew I wanted to be in some sort of fashion space, but I didn't really have any school education on it. I didn't have any like background on it. I just had my personal style, and I knew that I had good style. So I was visiting a bunch. My now roommate, I was visiting every weekend, leaving Scottsdale because I had to get out of there. And we were at no vacancy in Scottsdale or in West Hollywood. Ran into this guy, just started talking to him. We knew somebody that was a mutual friend, and then he offered me a job to work for a brand called Minimal, which kind of brought me to California.
Yeah.
And I moved out like 3 weeks later.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was like June of 2016.
And then what were you doing at Minimal?
So I did their social media and I did their wholesale. So I ran the social media accounts, and then I sold wholesale.
that was like right when Instagram you could actually do really well. On Instagram.
So Instagram was like came like 2010, and
Yeah.
then like by like 5 years later, like brands were starting to take over like as like an actual like business purpose app instead of just like a communication or social app.
Yeah.
So like I think one of the reasons why Minimal got so big at the time was because they like used influencers.
Yeah.
Like kind of one of the first brands that really use influencers.
And remind me again, what year is this?
This is 2016.
2016.
Early
okay.
2016.
Yeah. Well, and then you said you didn't have any schooling for this. You didn't have any, no teacher. So like, what was that discovery process for you?
Well, so my mom is like, she like is obsessed with Burberry and like always rocks Burberry, and like throughout like my whole life, she always just had like a fashion sense. My dad's a Marine, so he doesn't give a shit about anything. Like just work hard.
Yeah,
No matter
wear
what
your
you're wearing.
fatigues and
exactly.
yeah.
Fatigues, good word. And so I just kind of, I think always saw my mom like dressing up, and I just kind of found a love for it. And then I played lacrosse, and like always throughout my career in lacrosse, I always cared about how I looked. Like there's a thing in lacrosse is like look good, play good. Like there's these things.
That's like a thing in lacrosse,
100%.
really?
It's sports all in general. Like if you look kind of like you're not put together and like as an athlete and stuff like that, you can. It's usually like
You can
okay, that
tell.
kid
You can
kinda
tell.
sucks.
Yeah.
You can tell.
That's You could
And, like,
just-
especially
it's a
with
dead
lacrosse, it was
giveaway.
very aesthetic wise.
Yeah.
Like the way you wear your helmet, like the way you wear your socks, like your eye black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that can apply to like the same as like in
anything,
business
yeah.
when
Anything,
you
right?
when
You
you
see a
look
sloppy
good,
on the
you
street,
do
you're like,
well,
that
yeah.
guy's probably going to a
Yeah.
court case.
Yeah.
Why is he wearing that?
Bring it back to
you know what I'm saying though? Yeah. But like it does,
Yeah.
I think, correlate to like real life. And so I think I started gaining my confidence in fashion since then. And like it all started with shoes though. Like I always was in the East Bay magazines.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
circling the shoes
Growing
I
up,
wanted,
yeah.
and, like,
East Bay.
praying
Yeah.
my mom would like get me a pair. Like, please, like, how do I have to mow the lawn? Like, what do I have to do to get these shoes? So it started with shoes, and then like turned into my cleats and like
Yeah.
everything. And then as I got into college, I kind of started really finding myself about like just like what I like to wear. And like I was wearing baggy jeans, and then I kind of started wearing skinny jeans. And like my friend group, do you remember the denim with the like holes in the knees
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, zippers?
Yeah.
And that was big in like
Yeah.
16. I remember wearing those around my friends, and they all made fun of me. Like zippers, holes, like everybody made fun of me. And then a year later, they're all doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So it was just like I was finding my way of like how I like to dress, and I had never worn a pair of Vans till I went to Arizona State. I never even heard of Vans, like, and then so I just kind of learned new things.
I bought my first pair last year. Our boy that just came on, Mike. Mike is the
Aren't you a
only.
California guy?
Yeah, but like I wasn't Northern California.
Yeah,
You know, it's not
they're
the
a different
same.
breed
It's a
up there.
different.
Definitely
But like, Mike is like he wears Vans cleats, like the only MLB player to wear Vans cleats, and like because I was around him a lot.
The high
like,
tops?
Low top.
No, his
No,
cleats are high tops.
no.
I think
they're
I've
low
seen the
tops.
high
They're
top
low tops.
Van cleats, but
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wears a lot of low top. He has everything, but yeah, but like because of that, that was the first time I actually bought Vans. Was like last year.
right, yeah. So I just started like kind of finding my sense of fashion. I mean, in college, I didn't have good fashion, but like it was relative to where I am now. And then at the end of college, I wanted to do medical sales because I heard it was very like
Lucrative,
and,
yeah.
like it would like bring you all these places. You could travel, you could make all this money, and like have a nice car, have a nice house. But like all those jobs out of college, they want like 5-10 years experience, and I didn't have any experience. So I was really just trying to figure out my way. So I was in Scottsdale working at a staffing firm during the day, Insight Global, if you've never heard of that.
Insight Global,
Oh my
yep.
God.
I know exactly what that is.
Dangerous place.
It's a hiring company.
Oh, it's
and
so
then you
bad.
get like commission based off of like who you hire. And
It's hell. It's not good.
yeah.
They like pretty much bring you in. It's like a terrible job, but they like treat you really good. Like they'll take you out to happy hour like every night. They'll do like weekend events.
Yeah.
To, like,
So
hey,
I guess
we're fun.
you
like,
have to figure out what your values are in your workplace.
Exactly.
Like some places have zero work culture, but like you get paid decent.
Exactly. So I was doing that during the day, the club at night, and I was like, man, I got to find something I like. And then this opportunity literally fell into my lap. When I met the guy, we were like drunk, we were partying. He just happened to know one of my teammates from college who was working for him. And then we connected, and then one thing led to another. And then I came up to California and signed a contract, and I moved like a week later.
How did you convince this guy that you could run social with no prior experience though?
I think he like took a look at me and was like, okay, this kid's got some style and like he's young, and he told me he wanted like a young kid to run social and do the wholesale, because like wholesale is kind of like a dog eat dog. Like you got to like
You need someone
reach out to
young
people.
and hungry, right?
Yeah.
Someone that's gonna
It's
do
like the people
whatever
that,
it takes,
the
right?
medical sales, like they like young, hungry, like athletes, like,
Yeah.
because they know they'll like go after it.
Yeah.
And I think he just saw something in me, thinking that like this kid's young, like he loves fashion, like let's give him an opportunity. And also my like good friend from college was like in with him for like 4 or 5 years. So I had like a
And
recommendation
yeah,
basically.
that's always good to have. We always talk
Exactly.
about how it's like who you know.
Yeah, it's all within
It's all about who you
100%
know.
who you know.
Yeah,
I feel like that for every single job. I mean, even things with Lovesick, like product placements. Only reason I've gotten my gear on some certain people is because of who I know.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Well, I mean, all right. So you brought up Lovesick. Tell us about Lovesick.
Yeah.
When was it born, and why was it born, and how was it born?
I'll be
how,
right
yeah.
now.
So after Minimal, I'm gonna bring us back a little bit.
Yeah.
After Minimal, during Minimal, I bought an English Bulldog, and I
Love it.
bought her because some girl broke my heart. I think
Dogs
damn.
always.
What's the
let
dog's
you down.
name?
Pearl.
You still have Pearl.
She's on my hand.
Oh, Pearl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was gonna bring her, but then
You should have.
It's all
You
good.
should have,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're very dog
That
friendly.
she pulled Jennifer Gardner, right?
she literally dictates my life. Like I'm telling you, like I feel like I've only gotten certain dates because of that girl. That dog. I swear. But I bought her. She tore her ACL. I couldn't pay for it, and my dad was like, "Hey, I'll take care of this, but like you got to figure this out. You got responsibilities that you can't take care of. So like figure it out." And he was basically telling me to get a better job. And so back to who you know, my
Yeah.
college teammate was like, hey, my dad's company is looking for a young kid to run the Los Angeles division for this medical sales company. Do you want in? And then interviewed, got the job. Thought I was going to climb my way up this corporate ladder. Eventually worked for Stryker, start making, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year, like build my life. And then like 2 years in, I was miserable.
Like, fuck this.
Oh my God.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Did you just say you made $500,000, $600,000,
No.
$7,000?
No,
I
that's
thought,
the-
I thought that was like,
Got it.
I thought that was
Yeah.
like the vision of like medical sales. Like as a young kid, you would see these
Yeah.
people like driving Porsches, like
Yeah,
selling
got it.
implants, like
Got it.
and I was like,
Yep.
okay, that's the life I'm going to go for. I'm going to
Yep.
try to pursue that. And within like 2 years, I was miserable. I had to shave my face every morning. I had to wear a suit.
Sounds
like,
awful.
I drove a minivan.
I was in finance, so I get it, man.
Yeah, you know how
Yeah.
the corporate lifestyle of just like being a human.
Can I ask you what was like the mentality of like when you realized like this isn't it? Like what were you going through?
I
with
had
that?
so much anxiety because I was
How early on did you start experiencing that?
within the first year.
Ooh.
100%.
And you survived another year after that?
I did 3 years.
Oh fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I was just experiencing so much anxiety. I did like mobility devices. So I was working with a lot of like handicapped veterans, and my phone was on 24/7. So like if they needed something, I was at their hand. And waking up every morning, like just knowing like that these people's livelihood was in my hands, and getting late night calls and early morning texts, and just like the stress of the job was so difficult for me, just because I had never been in a situation like that where I'm actually like taking care of people like to that extent. And I just every day just kind of started compounding. And then your boss is like, hey, you're not doing good enough, or like you need to meet this quota and like do this. And I never fully invested myself into it. So I wasn't doing bad, but I wasn't doing as good as you could do.
Yeah.
You know, when you like invest in something, you
kill it.
Exactly.
But if you're like in it,
But if you're half
because-
in,
yeah.
it like you struggle because you're not doing the reports the right way, or you're not like following up with the clients, or you're not like putting that extra time in.
Especially like when you're unhappy and you're like, I mean,
Exactly. You're like,
just,
why am I here?
don't- Yeah.
So I was just constantly waking up every day. And like I was living in Brentwood. I had my own 1-bedroom apartment. I had my work car. I had my personal car. I was making good money. But like the anxiety was just crippling. It was just so crippling. And so I think it was after just like some talks with my mom and my sisters, and it was like, okay, I'm going to do something else. And I wanted to go back into fashion. So I started applying to these companies like Goat, Hypebeast, and all these things. Yeah. And getting denied from all of them because I've been in medical sales. They're like, who is like,
why
you?
we so close?
Did you know anybody at any of these fashion places?
No, I mean, I knew the people that I worked with previous, but like I had to back up. I had gotten let go from that company.
Okay.
We were, so I was like kind of like trying to get my way out, and he kind of noticed that I was like on my way out. He's like, hey, let's just separate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back into fashion, and then applied to all these jobs, and nothing worked out. So I was kind of lost. I think I had a conversation with my middle sister and my mom, and they're like, just try your own thing, like do your own thing. And I was like, there's no way, like I can't start a company. That's just not, I'm not that guy. I'm not smart enough. I'm not like, I don't have the resources. Like I don't know enough people. And then just this pressure of this job just really like came down on me. And so I was like, fuck it. And I think it was in 2019, like mid 2019, I was sitting in my bedroom apartment, or my apartment by myself, drinking like wine. I was like a little drunk.
Another drunk story again.
Yeah. And like, I credit to, because if I wasn't drunk, I probably wouldn't have put this message out, but I put a message out on my Instagram and said, hey, I'm going to start a brand. I have no products. I have nothing, but this is something I want to do. It was like just a bunch of words that I put on my story. I made a page, started posting.
Did you screenshot it? Do you still have that today?
I could probably find it in the, what's it
Like
called?
archives
history.
or something?
The archives. I want to see that. You should grab that.
I should frame
Yeah,
it.
and you should post it.
Thank you
Yeah.
for reminding me.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I posted that, and then over the next like year, I just made an account, and I started posting lifestyle, like cool cars, good looking women, housing, like just cool stuff that you see these aesthetic pages posting. And I think
A lot of Pinterest or what?
Yeah, just a lot of Pinterest. And just honestly, was stealing pictures from other accounts.
Yeah.
Just like screenshotting and
that
stuff.
is
And then about a year from that, a year and a half from after that, I gained like 400 followers of random people, and then I launched a brand. But to bring it back on why I started it, there's like multiple reasons. It was, I don't think I could have done it without one or the other. It was two reasons. It was the unfulfillment in my current job, the feeling of like waking up and be like, what am I doing? Like, I'm so unhappy. I thought about my life when I was like 35, and I was like, am I going to have kids with a wife and feel like this every day?
Yeah.
Like, cause then I'm not going to be able to be a good dad or a good husband or anything like that. And that was like very heavy. And I had been in this like on and off relationship for about a year or two. And I like loved this girl. I was like in love with this girl, and I thought that I would marry her. And I never had thought about a girl like that in my life, just cause I've never met anybody. And that ended very poorly. And I was pretty much told that like, you know, you're not fulfilled in your life, and I don't want to be with someone who's like unhappy, and you got to get your kind of shit together.
Brutal.
It was brutal. And I was, you know, a young man living by myself. So like, especially with your thoughts by yourself, it's tough.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
of us
It
understand.
is
Sounds like
tough.
a great place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I live alone. I'm with
I
my
live
thoughts all
alone
the
too, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like, we're all with our thoughts all the time. It
Exactly.
can be a tough
Like, it's
place.
brutal. And it was brutal for me. And I think that relationship ending the way it did, and then, you know, her telling me those things, and then on the other side of my other part of my life, just being super unfulfilled and not being happy, both of those coming together was like, you got to change your life. And I knew I loved fashion, and I thought I had good style. And the basis of it was like, my style isn't singular. Like, I'm not so unique that everybody's like, oh my God, like you dress so cool. And like, I've never had anybody seen dressed like you. My style isn't singular. So like, I thought that if I just made shit that I like,
It's universal.
other people
right?
would like it.
Other people
And
fuck
at the
with
end of
it,
the
yeah.
day, if nobody likes it, I'm wearing my own stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the basis of the brand, of why I started it and how I started it. and it's been working.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's the craziest part, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wake up
awesome.
and I'm just like, I feel like an imposter.
We
It's
talk
crazy.
about
Imposter
imposter syndrome.
syndrome.
Literally every episode with every person, like every person we've ever had on here. Like I think we've all experienced it in some
Form
way,
or
shape, or
fashion,
form.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because when you do something that aligns with what you're passionate about, what you want to do, it almost feels like a cheat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it's
and
like a social stigma that like you got to get a normal job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
exactly.
You can't chase your dream.
Like they
or,
can't
Because
be
if you're
this
miserable, then
easy.
all right,
Yeah.
then this is my job, this is my career. But it's like, wait, I would do this for free, just like doing
And-
what I do and what I love, and so that I'm successful in it. It feels
It's almost like this thing like
unworthy?
I can't be happy
Yeah.
doing what I like working.
I think that's like
yeah.
a society thing
Yeah.
that like
100%.
that's kind of put on us because you gotta like have a safe career and you're gonna have a family, so you gotta have something that's like constant and like there all the time and
Yeah.
consistent.
well,
So
it sounded like you had pretty good support from your family.
oh yeah, I mean anything I do, I they're the biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
in
With
my
your
world.
family, are
amazing.
they entrepreneurial at all?
No. So my father is a lifelong Marine, 35 years in the Marine
Yeah.
Corps. My mom was a stay-at-home mom pretty much her whole career, taking care of the kids because my dad was on leave a lot. Obviously, the last 20 years we've been in a war, and my dad was there a bunch. So like
Wow.
they're always taking care of that. My sisters are kind of like me. Like they hate the corporate lifestyle and they have dreams of their own.
How many sisters do you have?
I have two older ones. So my older sister is a dressage rider, so she rides like equestrian. So
Oh,
she's like
okay.
professional.
That's cool.
So she's like chasing her dream down in Florida or South
Literally,
Carolina.
That's sick.
And then my older sister or my middle sister moved to Nashville when she was 18 to go to Belmont and pursue a country music career.
Yeah.
No way.
That didn't work out, like
Oh.
many don't, but she's now in the country scene and like very tapped in and works for a producer. Her
That's
husband's in a band and all this stuff. So we're all kind of like all the kids are kind of trying to chase
Chasing
something.
something
Yeah.
interesting
Exactly.
Create your
other
own
than
path.
like your normal corporate career.
Exactly.
That's
And we
really
were,
cool.
even in high school, like I felt like that. I didn't know it then, but my sisters didn't have a lot of friends and were always kind of different. I felt like we all didn't really fit in. I fit in because I'm a boy and I'm outgoing and I'm like,
Yeah.
all
And
that
you're a part of
sports, yeah.
sports teams, so
sports,
it helped.
exactly.
Yeah,
but like
for
the
sure.
girls never really fit in. So I thought like maybe that had something to do with like they're just different and they just don't want to do the normal thing that everybody else is doing. And I think that maybe had a correlation.
Which is totally okay.
Exactly.
It's hard
It
when
needs to
you're-
be. And people need to know it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're younger, like you feel like that's not what you're supposed to do. Like I didn't really fit. Like, I mean, younger I was whatever, but like in college, I always told them like I used to get made fun of for how I dress all the time and like bullied out of bar. I still get bullied.
I
out
still
of
get
bars.
made fun of how I
Yeah.
dress to this day.
So
So it's
just like,
normal.
whatever.
Just gotta brush it off.
Yeah. We never really got accepted.
So
Doesn't
going
really
back
matter.
to the X.
Ooh.
Was
Oh,
that,
oh, oh,
was that,
ooh.
would you say that was one of the biggest catalysts?
100%.
Uh,
Her words are a huge reason
So
why.
are you like grateful for like that situation despite
Yes.
how hard it was?
I'm trying to be more mature as I get older, and like obviously, like when you get hurt, you're like fuck them. Or but as I get older, I'm definitely grateful for that fire that was lit. I'm not over it.
that's good. That's good. I mean,
You're a
shit,
little
it's good you're
lovesick.
talking about it.
Lovesick, exactly. That's pretty much the name too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
let's
not
talk about that.
the name. Well, the name is kind of written in that explanation, right? But like also, there's another kind of area of the name. For me, I thought the name was so important. You mentioned Rude earlier, and Rude was like a huge inspiration of mine. Huge inspiration of mine. I love their clothes, and when I was kind of trying to figure out like what kind of clothing I wanted to make stuff that I like to wear, and Rude is pretty much making all the stuff I like to wear.
Yeah.
And with the name, I wanted it originally to be like one syllable, just quick and easy so people can remember it and they don't have to say a long thing. And there's like all these things to it. So like it's hard to search on Instagram or hard to search online. Like I wanted to make it simple. And I think it took like 6 months to figure out the name. And then I wrote down the word lovesick, and the definition is like, feeling so sick to your stomach when you don't have something. But I think it's generally built around like a girl and a boy. Like the boy is lovesick around the girl that doesn't want to be with him.
Yeah.
And I kind of correlated that to my situation. Like I felt that I was lost, like with easiest term of lovesick, not having something and feeling sick without having it. I was sick without like fulfillment. I felt like I was lost in life. Like I originally wanted to be a Marine, and then I wanted to play sports, and then I wanted to like do medical sales. So I didn't know what I wanted to do.
So your lovesick definition applied to outside of relationships as well as
100%. There's both sides of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much the whole brand. There's always two sides, but it pretty much was like, I need to find something that fulfills me, and fashion has always been the one constant. Like I loved lacrosse. It like brought me to college. It got me a scholarship.
You feel like that was your first love?
That was my first love, 100%.
Second love is Pearl.
Yes. she's my first love. Like, she always gets back to my first love.
The true love.
I love that true love. I love that we brought her up. So, everybody that watches this, that's my friend. They're like, yes.
Hell yeah.
But it was just like being unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And I needed to find that thing that made me happy. And fashion was the one thing that I always cared about since high school, like my shoes and everything. It just like was always around, no matter what I was doing in my life or no matter where I was. It was like, what am I wearing? Or like, I want that shirt or I want that hat. And so without fashion, I think I would be lovesick.
Yep.
If that makes sense. And same thing for
For
everybody
sure.
else, right?
Well,
like if you were in love with finance,
Or
and
photography now.
I love finance.
so photography,
Now.
if you didn't have photography, you would probably feel a little empty.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think it's actually really interesting that you bring up the unfulfillment part of it, because I think a lot of us look at being unfulfilled as such a negative thing, and they're just like, they're unhappy. But it's like, if you can channel that and turn that
figure
into
out
something
what that
positive,
is.
because I know I went through the exact same thing. So like when I was younger and I was trying to figure out my life, I had a career set out. I wanted to be a physical therapist, and I thought that was the career for me. I fell out of love with it. It wasn't for me. I needed to figure out, and I was like 24, 25, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And if it was that big like feeling of I'm not fulfilled and I can't do this forever, so what can I do to get myself out of this funk?
Exactly.
Which drove me to, I started my own athleisure brand. I got into grad school, and then I found photography, and then that turned into a creative agency.
Right.
But if I didn't have that feeling in the beginning, it would have never driven me to something that I do love.
I feel like most people, I would say more than not, are unfulfilled.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can relate to that story for sure.
Because I'm sure we all have friends that are doing shit that are doing it because it's a good paycheck.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Or it's just a paycheck.
A
They don't
paycheck.
know what
Or
else
a
to do.
paycheck,
They don't have
exactly.
any other ideas of what to do.
That's the
or
one
no
thing I was like-
options. Like so I know so many people are just kind of stuck in their situation because they don't have options. So
that's like a good starting point for anybody as well. Like if they're listening, if you feel that way, you actually have to take some personal time to yourself and not just fucking when you're on your couch, like, what do I want to do? But like really take real time and think about what you love, things that you like that are in your life, and how you can maybe correlate that to your work life. And if, not everybody's not going to be able to correlate their passion to make money.
Yeah.
But like
No.
a lot of people could, I bet.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's like it doesn't happen in one night sitting,
No.
2 nights sitting. Like this shit takes time, like
Like, how many-
6 months,
how
12
long did it
months,
take
8.
you?
Like
It took me like 2 years of being miserable.
Yes,
To like
like-
actually figure out that like this is a path that I'm going to take.
yeah.
Like legitimately 2 years. The thing is, I think it's like most people like being comfortable.
For sure.
And like comfortability is like a drug. I read this today. Like comfortability is literally like an addictive drug. Like if you get comfortable, then you get complacent.
Yep.
Ooh,
And then
and
you
we
just can do your
hate
thing.
complacency.
We hate it.
We don't like
Well,
it.
it's funny. I'm actually reading a book right now. All right, full disclosure, I'm listening to it. I'm not reading
I was gonna say you're reading a book.
it. Listening to it, Audible. I'm a fan. It's Ron Howard's book, his biography, the director.
Okay.
And he said when he was younger, because he was a child actor, and one of his mentors, I think it was Henry Fonda, he told Ron Howard that every 18 months you need to risk your entire career to be able to move forward. And that's something that Ron Howard lives by, and I think it's actually really
Really
great, and
interesting.
something that
100%.
I think anybody that's going after something,
Take
you have to be
risks.
okay to take that risk, to take that next step. So
I can
what
even
that
like,
is-
I can even think of like that within what I'm doing now is like, I'm doing well, but like in the future, I'm going to have to take risks that I'm not 100% sure on to grow the company, to
propel
make
it,
it bigger,
yeah.
to expand it. So
And it's going to be super scary, whether
Yeah.
that's finding a location, a store, a brick and mortar, whether that's doubling Facebook ad spend, right? Like all of that, it'll come to you in many different forms, but you have to be willing to take that.
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
step.
I got a good example. A year ago, so the brand's been around for a year and about 6 months. February 21 was when I launched. And within like 8 months, Summer was there. Or not 8 months, 4 months. And I had made a little bit of money, and it was like, okay, am I going to still make the same stuff, hats and tees, or am I going to try to expand like the collection? And I had an opportunity to buy these shorts that I was going to sell. And it was like a $9,000 investment. And at the beginning of the company, you know, I didn't really have, I think I maybe had like 10,000 in my account. And it was like, okay, am I going to buy these shorts and like hope that we can sell them and it works? And I had a conversation with my dad for probably like a week and a half about it. And he was like, dude, you got to take a risk. And so I took the risk, bought them, and then we kept expanding. That's a perfect example. Like within your own workplace, you got to take personal risks.
I want to hear more about like the risks, like I'm sure as like a new entrepreneur, like you've encountered a ton of obstacles, especially starting a brand. Like I think we have a lot of entrepreneurs watching, listening, who like to hear like, what did you encounter that was like tough to overcome starting the brand? Did you have any obstacles, that kind of stuff?
Well, starting it is like, that's the biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
Right?
What was
like,
step one? Yeah. Let's talk
step
about
one
step
was that account, that Instagram account. That's how I knew like I would just let people know.
But have you ever designed and got a blank made or any kind of embroidery?
How did you figure out
what
how
does
to
that
do
look
that?
like?
You quit your med sales job.
Yeah.
And
so
then
I actually, back up there.
Yeah.
I got, this was 2020 COVID. And at the beginning of it, they're telling us like, hey, you guys are our sales team. You guys are all safe. No one's getting let go. We need the money. So we need you guys to bring the money. 6 months later, we're on our Monday morning call, and they're like, hey, some changes are going to be made. If you get a call, we'll go from there. And right when she said that, I was like, I'm probably on the chopping block because I'm the newest to the company. I'm the youngest to the company, and I am in the region that has multiple reps.
Yep.
And we got on the call. She's like, hey, we're going to furlough you. And I was like, hey, don't furlough me. I'm miserable. Give me a severance.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, we'll do that.
At least you got a severance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like a family. They were definitely good to me. As soon as I got the severance, I packed up my car, got the dog in the back, and we drove to South Carolina from LA.
Yep.
And I went to my dad's house for 4 months, and I started kind of learning about what I have to do. And luckily I had my father there to kind of lead me through it, and like setting up an LLC, like getting you tax compliant.
Did your father, was he familiar with doing all this stuff prior?
Yeah. So, I mean, he wasn't familiar with like starting a business, but you know, he has a lot of life experiences. He likes to say he's
just having that person too to like be like,
100%.
I'm gonna do
Just
this
bounce
with
it
you.
off, right? Like
100%.
bounce off
And
ideas.
Somebody to
Like
bounce
what's
ideas
next?
off
Exactly.
of.
That's gotta help.
So like, yeah, doing all the tangible stuff like that. Like, I never knew like that I had to go and like register a trademark.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do that until like 7 months in. So then I learned, you know, I have people that have like Lovesick IG accounts DMing me like, you're stealing my stuff. It's like, okay, now I gotta get a trademark so that that's not an issue. Setting up just the account of an LLC was like challenging to me at the beginning, just because these are all the things that before I started it was like, I can't do those things.
Well, then it also takes more investment, because I know when I had to start the LLC, I didn't know it cost like $500, $600 to start the LLC, and then you have to, like you said, the copyright versus a trademark, what the difference is between those. Yeah,
it was just like those tangible things that were the most challenging for me. I was so fortunate enough to have like a huge support of people support me from school, from Arizona, that like on launch day, they bought a bunch of stuff.
That's awesome.
That's sick, yeah.
And it was really cool, but it's going to sound crazy, but I haven't had a real obstacle yet.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's
with,
been generally smooth.
Manufacturing and like
I've had small things like a mess up on an order, like 100 hats got printed the wrong way or stuff like that.
Are you still sending out your orders? Like you physically send them out?
I do everything. Yeah. So I do the marketing. I do the
You're
customer
one-man band
service.
right now?
Yeah. I do the customer service. I do the picking and packing orders.
Dude, I love that.
I print the labels. I do it all. I design.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah, for sure. Shit, how many hats are you wearing?
Yeah.
20 different hats.
But I think that's also good to know for like people starting. Like that's
it's good
like,
to know for
that's
me as an owner.
What you are probably going to be in for when you're starting your own. Like
Exactly.
When I've always like when I was younger, I always wanted to start my own brand. So like I had no idea how, like what those steps were, what that would look like. So like knowing that you're going to be in for like a lot of work on your own. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to be the one packing the orders. You're going to be the one shipping shit out.
You do all the shit that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
But-
buddy's starting a clothing. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
My buddy's starting a clothing brand right now, and I was over his house the other day giving him some advice, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna hire this person to do my custom shirts. I'm gonna hire this one to do this." And I was like, "Dude, no. Like
At the beginning.
at the beginning, you got to do it all because you're gonna waste all this capital on like hiring these people. But if you only have one order a week,
Yeah.
you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
So you got to get in the dirt
Also,
and do the things you don't
when
want to
you're
do.
starting a brand, like you should know how to physically do every step. I think like
It's good for an owner because
Absolutely.
once you have employees, then you know what like
Expectations.
expectations
Yeah.
are
Yep.
and like
Yeah.
what you need to
Workload,
do.
what you can take on, what you can't
Exactly.
take on.
and then
I
you
think
can
it's
go to them
beneficial.
and be like, I have done everything
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah,
doing.
exactly.
Yeah. Mic drop. What took you 2 weeks, I could have done in an hour, and now I know.
Yes,
So
exactly. So those were like, I mean, I have obstacles probably once a week, but they're minor. Like I try not to make anything bigger than it is. So I've been very fortunate to not have any large obstacles that were like, hey, this could be an issue for like the entirety of the brand. So
would you say that like the majority of the branding came from the page that you were putting out a bunch of content, or like
I think that I wanted to make sure I did correctly was that the branding at the beginning of it all had to be like loud.
okay,
I wanted to make sure that when people saw the brand for the first time, they didn't forget it. Because I think the thing is like if someone visits your store, it's going to take them 3 times to buy something to visit again.
they got to see
So
it
like
multiple times.
with
yeah.
that hat right there, the logo cap, that's my number 1 hat that I
Yeah.
made.
I've never even seen this hat before.
This is
Yeah,
the
that's
most
like the first
popular
cap
one.
I made.
Yeah.
When I made it first, it was flat. So this is like 3D. So there's
love
like
that.
a small like
A-frame, black hat, good embroidery.
but I wanted to make sure the branding was loud enough that when people saw it, they can remember it. So that's why I did like stuff like that.
So down to the like even the lettering, right? You have 2 different types of lettering, one on the here and one on the side, right? You knew visually like the style that you wanted, or is this like over time that you were like, okay, this is dope?
I think over time it evolves
Okay.
for sure. But like this font in the front, I knew I wanted that font from the day I said I wanted to start the brand.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Mike,
Is there a story behind? Is it like the font, or is there
the
any-
brand Amiri, you heard of it?
Okay, yeah.
He uses a similar font, but like thicker.
Mhm.
And I bought a hat that said Wild Ones from him 6 years ago or something like that. $250 hat.
Yeah.
Could not afford it, but I just wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
I wore it so much. It's like totally sunburned. And I just always wore it. And I was like, I can make this, but like cheaper and cooler.
Yeah.
And
More affordable for,
Exactly.
like,
So I
people.
took that idea and I put it into that.
Which is an interesting point, because it's like, as much as we want our ideas to be original, you always draw inspiration from
Fashion is
everything.
not original.
It's never
No,
It's
nothing
original.
not
in fashion
original.
is
It's
original.
reused.
Yeah.
And like when people bitch about like you're copying, obviously if it's a 1-to-1 rip, yes. But like if you take something of this design and something of that design and put it all together, it's
That's
That's
every aspect of fashion.
Yeah.
You can
if you
imagine.
see like you mentioned rude. Probably shouldn't say this out loud, but a lot of these high fashion brands, I'll say, copy each other.
Yeah.
They have
Oh,
the
no,
same
sure,
silhouettes,
for sure.
they have the
I
same
mean,
type of pants, it's
you
just
s-
different branding.
You see it beyond clothes. You see it in purses. You see it in everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like when everybody, I just look the other way and keep walking. It's just like that's just a waste of my time, and that kind of stuff will get you in your feelings, and then will get you thinking that you're not doing the right thing, and then it will get you acting out maybe to a customer on your page. I got to let my community speak for me.
Yeah.
And since things have happened like this, if someone comments on the page and says like I'm fake, like people will come and back me up. Like I made that upside down LA hat
Yeah.
a while ago, and people said I was ripping KTH LA, Kill the Hype. But like a lot of people don't know that there's been so many brands before them to do that same thing.
But also,
they are
like,
just
they
made it
don't
cool.
know what your inspiration comes from. Like
Exactly.
they don't know the behind the scenes.
It's only because it was
like,
upside down.
Yeah.
That's literally what it was.
No
and I was
one
like, I
coined
can't.
the
I
upside
can't.
down.
Exactly. And I can't.
Except for
be,
Stranger
Sorry.
Things.
But I can't be in the comments like defending myself.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And so I let the community
Yeah.
do it for me. So.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. So
Yeah.
you've had to deal with a little bit of back or like people
Oh man,
just
I've had
comments and
I've had whole paragraphs written out about
Really?
like, and then I'm like, nope.
in
can't
the
do it.
early days, did you fire back?
I would say little things. Like actually last week, some kid, I posted a picture of Odell Beckham wearing my hat. And some kid commented on the page and said, wow, I can't believe brands are really like lowering themselves to photoshopping hats on athletes now. And so
Wow.
I sent him a
Look
DM.
here, MFer.
No, I just sent him a DM of a video
Yeah.
of Odell moving around a gym in my hat, like doing different workouts, and it was like clearly not fake.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
He's like tight CGI, bro.
well, I think he responded. He said, "Okay, fair." That's what he said.
And that's what it is like people are just
just wanna
uneducated.
respond.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to hear from you.
They really do. And it's just like, as long as you write back and give them the time of day, which you shouldn't, because those trolls, I hate trolls.
But if you have the facts to
usually-
back up what their
Right.
claim is, then
Exactly. So like, I try not to sweat that too much.
yeah.
It is what it is.
Damn. So getting into scaling a little bit, you are a one-man band right now. What do you feel like your first hire is going to look like?
Yeah, that's something I'm having a lot of trouble with right now.
Probably a photographer.
We know
Probably
really
think so.
I could use one.
That's actually why he's here today.
My photographer just moved to Scottsdale,
Oh,
so
shit.
Well, I know one in LA.
Yeah. We got a couple guys come on just to work with this guy.
that is a big challenge that
Yeah.
I'm facing. I have trust issues,
Yeah.
and so like
Obviously, lovesick.
running the brand out of my house too is difficult because you gotta be able to be okay with someone coming into your home.
Yeah.
And I definitely need to hire somebody. What I'm probably gonna do is an operations guy, because me doing operations is
Taking
I'm
time
slacking
away.
in other areas
Yeah.
because of it, and I'm not slacking in those areas now because I'm like most of my time is going there, but I am slacking in operations. Like my email marketing isn't really that good.
You need someone that can like handle ops so that you can handle the face, right?
Handle the face, the design, and pushing the brand
Yeah.
out in the community.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm really within the next probably 2 to 3 months going to have to tackle. But as far as scaling, I'm moving the inventory out of my house at the end of the year, which is huge. It's like a huge move for the
Big
brand.
It's a big step, yeah.
Going into a warehouse, so that's going to like free up my time of packing orders, and then hiring someone on the ops side. I do want some creative eventually to kind of help me and push me in directions if I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But
That's always like it's nice to. I work on the creative at where I work, so like having there's
Just
three
another
of us.
eye.
Yeah, 3 of us that can like bounce
Exactly.
ideas off of.
I bounce-
we all think different.
I literally
so.
sit at my desk and my wall's there, and I'll say my idea out loud.
And see what your wall says
And if
back.
I
And
like
no
it-
one responds.
And if I like it, then I put it down.
Like,
So-
what do you guys think? Anybody have any objections?
I literally do it all the time. I'm like, is it good? And I'll sit on it for a night, and then I'm like, all right,
Yep,
we're doing it.
You
it.
don't
Let's
just
go.
like talk to people and bounce ideas off of like.
Well, like my group of friends, I'm trying to say this nicely, but like,
Not
Suck.
creative.
No, I'm just
no,
kidding.
not
always-
super creative, and they're not like really fashion forward. Like,
Yeah.
and I
I'm
like,
also really questionable sometimes about bouncing ideas off of people that are not 100% like in your corner, because I like for me personally, that I've actually talked about this recently with a couple of my friends, like I don't tell people about certain things because I don't need negative feedback right now. I just
or
need
just
someone
feedback
to
that
propel.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
you know what I mean?
I don't want people to like
Naysayers.
turn me around on it. I just need to propel it forward. So I'll get the feedback once it's going.
Right. Yeah. So I would like creative eventually to kind of back me up, but at the end of the day, I want to keep the team small. I mean, if I could have under 6-7 people eventually for the whole thing, that would be beneficial. I mean, the minimal brand that I work for, it's public knowledge, but they sold for like 52 million last year. And if I remember correctly, I think their team was only 6 people.
No way.
So
Damn.
it's doable if you have the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just- that's the thing. You got to find the right people. Like,
So is that kind of the inspiration going into it? Like you're like, if they can do it, I can do it. And this,
yeah,
and this.
100%. I mean, I look at brands all the time that I'm just like, man, I can do that. Like, I if I get it in front of the right people, I can make things that are cooler than this. I mean, there's so many high fashion brands that make the same shit, and it's like, that's so doable. They just have clout behind them.
Do you have any like mentors that you can go to right now?
I do. So we talked about it earlier before the show, the Aquila brand. Shout out Aquila. But
Tequila, love your glasses.
exactly. Steven Bates, he was my director of ops at Minimal and Dope. And then when the company split, he started with the owner, Aquila, over downtown, and he's just been a good friend of mine ever since. And he's kind of been like a mentor to me. He knows it, but like he just gives me advice. I'll call him or I'll stop by the shop and we'll talk about things and just telling me like, hey, don't like even like small things like inventory. So like if I'm making a shirt, he's telling me how many smalls I should buy, how many mediums I should buy, how many larges, how many XLs, stuff like that, because I didn't know that stuff at the beginning either. So I bounced a lot of ideas off of him. Some of my fashion friends I'll bounce design ideas off of, but at the end of the day, mostly it's just what I like.
It's you. Yeah. It's all you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was the first product?
The first product was that hat, but it was like flat. It was a flat. It was like flat, and then it was a green version, and then it was 2 T-shirts. I Love Arizona T-shirt and I Love LA, and it was like a graphic, like vintage T-shirt that I sold. 4 products total.
4 products. So, and then did you see immediate success from those products? Like, did you throw it on? Did you run ads behind it, or did word of mouth?
I didn't run ads until like 7 months in. It was all just me being like a savage on Instagram, just like DMing everybody or like talking to like liking.
That's extremely underrated. Honestly.
Oh, it's so underrated, but it's like, it's so tedious and shitty because you just got to like, I got to talk to 100 people today.
You kind of just have to like put all shame aside and realize.
You have to.
You're just reaching out and saying like, hey, would love to send you a hat, or just
just DM like, hey, follow the page, or like, here's a discount code, or like, this is our product, or if it was an athlete, anything to get a response, or anything to get a follow or a like if someone liked my page, the picture, I would DM and be like, hey, thanks for liking.
Nice.
Like, here's a discount code. I was doing that for the first 2 years, for like first year, just doing that every day.
You listen to a lot of Gary Vee?
I listened to clips of him when I was starting, and I still follow him and stuff. But yeah, he's like the kind of guy that will kind of help you push you over that edge, right? Like, just go fucking do it. Yeah. Like, go do it. But yeah, 4 products. Like I said before, my Arizona crew like came out. I think I did like $700 on my first day, and then it completely died. Yeah. Because I have no ads or anything like that. And then I dropped a hat, a lover's hat. It's like a cream and red hat.
That one's
says
sick.
Lovers on the front. That's like my #1 seller. And when that hit, then random people started buying it.
Nice.
And that's when I knew, like, okay. At those first, like, 3 or 4 months, I was still unsure if I was going to be able to do it. Like, you know.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Exactly. Sure. You have friends supporting you, but who else is going to support you? And then I started seeing names come into the order system. And I was like, do I know this guy? And I look him up on Instagram. Don't know him. I was like, oh, wow. Another guy? Don't know him. Don't know him. And then when I started seeing random names, I was like, okay, I have something here. Yeah. I just got to build on this.
So it's kind of like, you know, everyone tries to figure out these like Instagram and TikTok algorithms. You like figure out what's the thing that people are like buying,
connecting,
and then you just like duplicate that.
And the thing with the hats is like, when I shop, a lot of the times I couldn't find exactly what I had in my head. Like, I couldn't find the pants that stack the right way, or that are baggy enough, or that are just skinny enough, or the hat sits, the frame hat, the 5-panel hat. The hat sits like, it's a thing with guys. I feel like when you look in the mirror, the way the hat is shaped, it's like very so important.
And then it also has to do with your face shape, and then your head shape. If it's a shallow bowl, if it's a
I wouldn't know.
And I always thought about that. I was like, if I can make the perfect hat, people will trend to it.
Hats are huge, man.
And I'm not saying that I started this, because I definitely didn't. But I feel like since I've launched Lovesick, so many more girls are wearing hats like that.
Oh, really?
Hats.
They really
see so
are.
many girls wearing hats like
because
that.
Because I run into that, because I make my own like A-frame hats, and I love them. But when I see girls wear them, it doesn't feel right.
Right, because they're dad hat. Girls are like dad hat guys, or truckers. And like, I feel like girls are wearing lovers hats now, and like that style of hat.
Do you think that started during the pandemic, when everyone was wearing the fisherman, the
bucket hat?
Bass Pro Shop.
Bass Pro Shop is a similar fit.
It started the
it's
trend.
A similar fit, yeah. It's a similar fit for sure. I'm sure it helped. 100%.
It probably helped, yeah.
So shout out Bass Pro Shop.
Collab, Lovesick collaboration.
That would be a sick collab.
That would be cool, right?
That would be sick. So if I'm hearing you correctly, your initial drop, right, did really well.
For the first day.
3 or 4 months later is when you actually started seeing the smaller growth from people outside of your circle.
Right.
So it's just like that fucking consistency, right? Like, it's like, you know, like that gap that bridges is.
Yeah, that was like the turning point. I mean, obviously there's other things that go into it. Like you got to be posting online, and you got to continue to promote, even if nobody's liking your stuff or nobody's like buying anything. But my goal, I remember talking to my dad, was 1 order a day. One order a day. If we can get to 1 order a day, then we can get to 2.
Yeah.
We can get to 2, we can get to 3, and then
I
love that.
That's
up to now. So
That's fucking
It's
good
been-
insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment? Actually, I have 2 questions. First question, moment of online sales that was like, whoa. Was it? Yeah. Have you had one of those moments yet?
yeah, 100, I've had multiple.
What's that
When I
look like?
dropped the second collection, it was about a year in, and it was 4 t-shirts, 4 pairs of shorts that I told you about, and 2 hats. And when I launched, I had like an $8,000 sales day.
Damn.
And I was like, holy shit, like this is working.
Yeah.
Did you have ads behind that, or was that?
No, that's just me.
my guy.
That's just me
That's
on
awesome.
online. So I didn't have any like paid, or I didn't have any like Google or Facebook ads, but I'm sure you guys are familiar. On Instagram, you can promote a post.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
And so I was
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just putting like $5 a day into
Yeah.
it, anything I could afford. And so I was promoting that way. That was like my only really paid ads. But once we dropped that collection, we had that like $8,000 a day. I was like, holy crap! Like this is the most money I've ever obtained in one day. Like
Yep.
this is crazy. And from there, you
You're
start
able to
building.
grow
Yeah,
from there.
exactly, and kind of get
Follow-up
popularity.
question. Now, you were talking earlier about the names you would see, the random names coming into online orders.
Yeah.
Have you experienced at any time being out in public, seeing someone
yeah.
randomly wearing
Out in the wild.
out in the wild?
A lot.
What's
my-
that feeling like?
It's amazing. My friends send me. My buddy was in town last weekend. I dropped him off the airport at like Sunday night at like 10:30. As soon as I got home, he sent me a picture. He's like, random guy. There's a
At
guy
the
wearing a
airport?
lovesick hat.
Dude, goes.
But I see it all the
Goosebumps.
time. It's been happening for like a year now, where like people are seeing it out in the public. My sister was in town 3 weeks ago for her birthday. We went to Bell's Beach House. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Down,
And
down the road.
as we were walking out, some kid is sitting in the front table with a lover's hat. We're walking down the street, super cool. Just my brother-in-law and my sister to see that, and like me be there,
That's
and just like
cool.
Yeah.
a cool moment. And then we're walking down the street to my car. These 2 dudes are on the sidewalk walking towards us, and I'm not even looking at them, and they just walk up, they're like, "Lovesick guy." I'm like, "Hey man, really love what you're doing. Like, keep it up."
Yeah.
And like shook my hand, and I was like, "Whew,
That's awesome.
that felt amazing."
Yeah.
But we see it like if you go to like a big event, I'm usually it's like
There's some
75%
representation.
chance I'll see like a
Some-
lovesick
Lovesick.
hat.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, especially when I go like
Especially-
back to Scottsdale. It's so big in Scottsdale. Like one of my ideas I had, Jerry Lorenzo, Fear of God.
Yep. Shout out, Jerry.
Yeah, shout out. Hit me up.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, Jerry.
He was on like I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos just about design and stuff. And he said something. He's like, so he comes from a kind of famous family. His dad was a
Baseball
ball
background.
player.
Yeah.
And he used to work in the nightclubs in Hollywood. And he started Fear of God. He started wearing Fear of God at the clubs and started giving it to people because he was around like celebrities, all like famous people. And he started giving it to people that were influential, all seeing it. And so one of my ideas was, I don't know influential people, but I do know people that are in the clubs in Scottsdale, and I know they're always packed. And I know that there's a lot of young kids out there that have money and they like fashion. So I started giving away my hats to like the hot bottle service girls, the managers, like all these people in the clubs around there. They started wearing it, and then literally I just started getting this influx of orders from Scottsdale. So Scottsdale is probably my number 1 hub for like orders.
You should like. Would you not do a tour, but would you do something
Trunk
similar?
show?
Like, yeah, like going from like Scottsdale to Chicago to Dallas to Miami.
That would-
and kind of like,
like that idea.
plug it in.
Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
cool
like
idea.
operations.
I definitely
Chris is currently has his resume. If you're hiring,
No, but that's smart, especially like or like college towns, right? Scottsdale's a huge college town, but like those are like the most influential places you could actually be, right?
Right. Yeah, I basically a pop-up is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I did one pop-up a month and a half ago downtown LA, which was pretty good. I definitely need to do one in Scottsdale because there's so many people
Yeah,
there.
That's where
fuck
your
yeah,
crowd
absolutely.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% where the crowd is. But I do want to go to different cities that are supporting the brand and push out. I don't think I'm there yet with the brand. I think I will be there, but not quite there yet. I'm trying to watch my overhead. So eventually something like that would be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Especially
For
just
sure.
touring around the country. That would
Absolutely.
be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
And-
we did an event with Jefe. I don't know if you ever heard of El Jefe. It's like a
Yes.
club in Scottsdale.
Oh, okay.
We
yeah.
did like a whole promotional event this past October with them, and they just pretty much branded their whole bar around Lovesick. I made 150 hats for the staff and randoms, and
Yeah.
we just threw like a big party.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that was like a big promotional event. So anything to get the name out there.
Just getting in the dirt. That's
100%.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anything to
Yeah,
get
I was
the
gonna
name
say the biggest takeaway of what I'm hearing is just like, don't be afraid. Just get out there and do the uncomfortable work. Whether
Shake
that's
hands, kiss
good-
babies.
You gotta be vulnerable.
Yes,
You got to be
exactly.
vulnerable. Like that's one thing I hate. Like the whole thing about going back to and like putting that PSA out on my Instagram. I hate asking people for things.
Yep.
Even to this day, like I'm getting better at it because I have resources, so I have to utilize them. But like, I hate asking for help.
Yeah.
But
Like,
we-
especially
we
someone to
all
buy
have
something.
to, yeah.
Exactly, you have to. And that's the thing that's the hump. Like you got to get over. It's like you got to be okay with asking.
Well,
Yeah.
Even though you're gonna get said, people are gonna say no.
Yeah, but it's also really important, and I love the fact that you had such a good support system around you. Like you said, your boys, your friends, all out in Arizona. Like you had a good group of people that were buying stuff from the get go, and I think that's super important for anybody like going on in the entrepreneur world. It's like, and I even saw a video the other day. It's just like, why do everybody support these celebrities that they have no idea who they are,
But not
then
that
you
they're-
won't support. They won't support the friend.
Yeah.
The friend or the neighbor.
friend they
or
ask
the one they
something
know.
for free,
Yeah.
and that blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Is that they're gonna ask your friend to give me something for free when they're trying to make their way in this world? Like you should be buying something at double the price just to support them, man. Just
That's
support
something
them.
that like
Very passionate about that.
owning a brand or
Very
owning anything that you
passionate.
sell or you can have physically.
Yep.
People are gonna ask you for shit.
Yeah,
And that's something you gotta. It's
it
frustrating.
irks me, man.
It's
because
frustrating.
I when I was doing my athleisure brand back in the day, this was like 6-7 years ago, and when we first started out, I remember the countless amounts of people that I knew from college and everybody. They're like, "Hey, dude, congrats! You're starting a brand. Can you send me some stuff? I'll rock it." And I'm like, I
No.
can barely afford to make 10 shirts, and I
Exactly.
have to make sure I get a couple of smalls, a few mediums, and all that. And then I remember I had the core group of people that never asked and they bought it, and the amount
Those
that
are the real
that
ones.
meant, yeah, that meant for me. And then one of my best friends, Matt, I was his best man in his wedding, and that was part of my speech. Is like, I remember that day when everybody else was asking me for something, and he was the only one that bought from me
Yep.
without saying a word. Didn't never say like, "Hey, guess what? I just bought from you." He just bought, ordered, had it delivered, and I was just like, that meant so much to me. So
I'll
I think
have
that's
like
really important.
There's like girls that I like made out with in college once. You know? Like 5 years later, they're like DMing me like, "Oh my god, the brand looks so sick. Send me a hat." I'm like, God damn, like, you are
Yeah.
so out of line.
Yeah,
It's like,
see-
you're out of
I
touch.
thought you were gonna go the other way and say like they supported you. I'm like, thank God
no,
for the
they're just like,
makeup.
it's like I got the kiss. No, give me some love.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
That is a challenge, though. I mean, you just kind of laugh it off and move on. Because like at the end of the day, you're the friends, the real ones, like
Yeah.
they're gonna
They're gonna be
they're gonna
around.
come to the top.
Yeah.
They'll float to the
They
top
will.
because you're gonna see that they're supporting you.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Well, I think that's great. So, what's next? I mean, you
For the
started with the
brand.
hat. Now you started the collection. What's the next steps?
It's a good question. I'm trying to expand like the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a lot of people in my ear always being like, "You should do this. You should make this. You should make that jacket.
Oh,
you
I
should make
love
these
that.
pants.
Yeah.
Like you should make this." Like it's like I want to do all of that,
Sure.
but like I have to start running. I have to walk before I can run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know a lot of brands. Another YouTube video I watched, Bobby Hundreds.
I love Bobby. I
Mm-hmm.
know Bobby.
He had a video where it said like a lot of people have early success like myself. They can find like a niche and get some
Yeah.
steam, but like a lot of brands go to die because they try to jump into the cut and sew game,
Yeah,
which is all custom, and they
take
don't
on
even have a
too
market
much.
for it.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm implementing like one custom piece, like a collection. So like these pants are custom, and these are going to be with like the winter collection. So one thing at a time, because I got to prove to myself
And see
and
how
I've
it
got to
does.
prove to the community that I can sell this before I go invest $20,000 into a bunch of pants that I can't sell. So I want to take this brand kind of like the Rude way. I want it to be worldwide. I want it to be a little elevated. You know, I started with hats because it was cheap and I'm self-funded. And like for me, going into a brand, if I find a brand that's brand new, and maybe it's like a little more expensive or whatever, I'm gonna buy a hat first.
Hat's
Yeah.
the easy entry.
That's actually facts.
You
When
can wear it all the time.
Yep.
When
and
I
it's
love a
usually
brand
cheaper.
and I can't afford like the main pieces, you go
You
to
buy
the
a smaller
accessories,
piece,
right?
exactly, because you can tell how good, like what the
Yeah.
quality is, and it's like you said, it's a cheaper piece. So that's the reason I started with like hats and tees, but that's just my starting point. You know, I want to do coaches jackets, I want to do trousers, I want to do all types of things. But again, I want the brand to be worldwide, and I also want every kid in the world wearing a Lovesick hat. I mean, I think everybody can pull a little something from the meaning of the brand. Backing up, like a lot of people say that are in the industry that, you know, brands and companies succeed because they have either a story or there's something real behind it. Like there's a meaning. And for me, there's a true meaning. I feel like my meaning can relate to a lot of people that are out there that are feeling some type of way. Maybe they're feeling overlooked, or maybe they're feeling like underappreciated, or maybe they're feeling like they're unfulfilled and they can find something. So if someone can correlate to the brand and feel like, hey man, like I feel better because like when I wear that hat because it means something. It means like maybe I'm chasing my dream when I wear my Lovesick hat because that kid inspired me. So if I can inspire people, you know, when people hit my DM and tell me like, man, you helped me, or like I'm starting a brand because of you and I just need some advice, that feels like pretty much the same as seeing the hat out. It's just a cool, and it's kind of cliche. Like at the end of the day, obviously I want to make a lot of money.
We all do.
I'm chasing freedom like everybody else. But I also want to make cool clothes and connect with people. And if the brand can do that, then that's a win for me. So we'll see. We'll see where the brand goes. I mean, like I said, it's been a year and 5 months, so it's pretty early. I got a lot of ideas. I don't know if they're all going to work, but time will tell.
Yeah.
So-
Authenticity and connection. Those
Exactly.
are the core values.
Authenticity
right
is a real thing too. Like you got to be authentic to
there. People can
yourself.
see it right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
There's a lot of brands out there just doing things that everybody else is doing. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to stay real to myself, and I try to blog, which I know a lot of people don't read, but try to blog
Where
on
do
the
you
website.
blog?
If you have it
on the
as
website?
Audible, I listen.
It's on
to
the
it.
website. There's a blog section on the website.
Okay.
No Audible.
yet.
Dang it.
No. Is it coming? It might come. Audible on the.
Get one of you.
If you read, I was gonna say if you can read it out loud, it's
I'll give you a hat if you read it out loud.
March 22nd.
Yeah. So I try to
designed a
blog to like let people understand the story of the brand.
I think that's actually
That's
really
fucking
valuable.
dope.
Like I know Bobby personally, but I will always go to his blog and just like read stories about like what they're doing and stuff. Because I think offering that behind the scenes like look at what you're going through is like what also helps people relate to the brand.
That's something I'm trying to do now a little more too. Is the beginning I was just trying to make it about the brand and the story, but I'm trying to like show a little more face, just so people can feel like they know me.
They can connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's community. You're establishing community.
Right. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. I don't want to do it too much because I don't want to make it about me. It's not about me. It's about the story. But I think that like you putting yourself out there and like telling your story, or like just showing your face on the Instagram
Being
or whatever,
vulnerable.
being vulnerable and like just doing things you haven't done, making content. Like I don't like, you know, there's people on Instagram that post stories of like cars or food or things they're doing, and then there's other
Chris.
people that
No.
I fucking hate that. I fucking hate
Chris
it.
doesn't do
And
that.
no.
but there's other stories that people have stories that are like always talking to the camera,
Yeah.
like going about their day.
Hey guys,
always
today
talking.
we're out here. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't do that, but I'm trying to do more of that just to like
It's tough.
show my
Yeah.
relatability.
It's tough.
It is
Honestly,
really
it's-
like challenging to like be able to like put yourself out there that way.
It is, especially if you're not used to it.
Yep.
And like talking in front of the camera is never easy.
No.
You know,
No.
like getting used to it is never easy.
No.
But like the more you do it, you know, the more comfortable you get.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what you were saying with getting in that uncomfortable position of when you were sending out the DMs, you're asking for help. It's like all part of that. It's like you're going to have to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations to be able to propel forward.
Man, I think we should all be living uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way we get better. And
Every
it's
18 months, baby.
cheesy, but like
Yeah.
if we're always feeling uncomfortable, I feel like we're growing
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
some type of way, either digressing or
1000%
growing. But like
Yep.
being uncomfortable is a cool feeling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it means you're doing something. So
Absolutely.
I agree.
Awesome, man. Well, I think Lovesick is well on its way. I
coming.
haven't tried on a hat yet, but I really want to. They look amazing. Oh wait, No, it's a pleasure having you on, Collin. This has been great.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to have you back in like 4
Yeah.
years and to see where you're at
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you've already experienced such like a short-term success
Yeah.
that I know that
Yeah.
good things are coming your way.
Yeah, I appreciate people like you guys. Let me talk about my story and
Absolutely.
give me a
No, thanks so
platform
much
to
for coming
talk
on.
and
We
just be
appreciate
who
it.
I am. So
Yeah.
you guys are awesome.
It's
Fuck
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
This was the Decent Human podcast. We got a decent human right here. Everybody, like, subscribe, comment, do all the fun stuff. Talk to you guys again soon. Bye.
1, 2, 3, clap.
You're the only one that's ever done that. That's awesome.
We're all trained to do it. Like, 1, 2, 3, clap. We're all like, pull their
I thought we were gonna do it. I thought you were gonna do it like throughout the whole podcast. I was like,
That's actually
see my hands like this.